all want to make money by doing something we love. If you could turn your hobby into your job, you'd never work a day in your life, right? Welcome to Hobby Hustle, the ultimate podcast where collecting passion and business collide. Now, here's your host, Zach Nygett.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of Hobby Hustle. I'm your host, Zach Nygett, and I appreciate you taking a moment from your busy day to spend time with us. If you've been enjoying the pod, please be sure to like, subscribe, rate us, and of course, share with your friends. Additionally, please leave a comment to share any thoughts, comments, and suggestions that you have. Your support has meant the world to me, and I hope you enjoy our show today. Today's guest is a lifelong collector with an amazing journey to share. He was born in the Philippines, where he started collecting cards at a young age that include Michael Jordan and Magic the Gathering. In 2005, he migrated to the U.S., where he continued his collecting passion. Over the next decade, he would continue to fuel his collecting passion by becoming the admin for a basketball collecting group on Facebook, setting up at LA's famous Frank & Sons, and doing card breaks online. In 2020, he started the Premier SoCal Card Show, and in 2022, he started building the Burbank Card Show. Additionally, he has expanded the Premier Show to include a non-sports collectible show, Pop C. His PC includes MJ, Kobe, and Dame, and you can find him on Instagram at Burbank Card Show. I'm honored to welcome a friend, passionate collector, and the Chief Operating Officer for the Burbank Card Show, Jay Coscolluela. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Hi, Zach.
How you doing tonight?
Good. Glad to be here.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy day to talk with us. So, just sort of get us started. I know you're a passionate basketball collector and fan. And I know you were able to go to some of the Team USA exhibition games. So sort of, what are your thoughts on this Dream Team 2.0?
Well, by now they've won, a couple games already?
Yep, they are. They just beat South Sudan.
Yeah, so expectations go for the gold, right?
100%. It would be a
nothing less than
disappointment if they didn't, right? But yeah, I mean, with Steph, LeBron, KD, it's just an all-star team. It's been fun to watch. So that's cool that you got to experience that too. I guess tell us what that was like.
Well, I had a business meeting in Vegas. You'll learn more who I met over there.
Okay.
During the show.
Yeah.
And afterwards, later that week, we watched the USA versus Canada. I was with Dynasty Mode watching the game. It's
nice.
An experience. You get so many superstars in one game. So that was, an experience by itself.
Yeah. Totally.
I wish we got better seats, but I procrastinated a little bit, so I ended up a little bit higher than where I wanted to be.
That's okay. But hey, you got to see it, man. I mean, that's literally like a once-in-a-lifetime type of deal. I mean, sure, NBA All-Star games and things like that, but to see that group of guys representing our country in international play is really cool. So I'm excited you got to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So speaking of international and Team USA, you were originally born in the Philippines. Can you tell us a little bit about growing up there and what that collecting scene was like?
Yeah, the Philippines is a predominantly basketball-heavy country. They actually have their professional league there called the PBA. Some USA basketball players or people from the NBA have played over there overseas. They have a conference where they can get one import player from the United States or some other country. Mm-hmm. Dwight Howard was recently there, and it seems that he's enjoying his stay over there. So, it's a basketball town. Everybody's rooting for the basketball players over there. The thing is, we're too small height-wise, so it's very hard for us to get to competitive leagues, overseas.
Yeah. No, I know basketball is a huge part of life. I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel over there a couple times, and just the culture is so about basketball. Like you said, like it's so cool. You go to, any town or village, and it's like one of the first things you see is a basketball court. So I think that's really awesome. So I guess, growing up there as a basketball fan, what was the sort of collecting scene like for you?
Well, it's crazy because over there, other sports, football for us is soccer.
Right.
So American football is really not a big thing over there. Baseball is more of, countries like Japan and China. Mm-hmm. So there it's easier to put a basketball court in any place. So people love the sport. And during my younger years, during the offseason in the NBA, players like Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill will go to the Philippines and promote their shoes.
Yeah.
That's why there's still a big amount of collectors in the Philippines for 90s players like, Penny and Grant Hill and even
Totally.
Shaq.
Yep.
It's crazy over there. The last time I was there before I migrated to the US, you go to a mall, there's a kiosk there with selling cards, basketball cards. And every Saturday, it's like a gathering of collectors over there. They're like ants in the mall. And you'll see security trying to contain,
Yeah.
the collectors over there because they're basically blocking every other business over there when they gather over there.
Yeah.
When COVID happened, now it's more on the card shops that they do that. They have their trade nights and stuff like that nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to also make some friends, via the internet and stuff. And there's some amazing collections that are over in the Philippines for sure. That's really cool. I guess, what are some of the first items that you remember collecting?
I started ripping packs around 88, 89. I really didn't collect anybody in particular at that time.
Okay.
It was more of building the whole set, completing the whole set, until about 1992 when Shaq and the inserts started coming out.
Yeah.
When the Shaq insert came out, the first thing that came to mind was the draft picks from Skybox.
Yep.
And over there, it was book value, no comps, no eBay, no nothing. So everybody was going $50 for a Shaq draft pick card. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then the 92 Beam Team came out. That book for $100 right away. And $100 at 1992 was a lot of money.
A lot of money for sure. Yeah.
So I started collecting Jordan heavily because of the Scoring Kings, 1993 Scoring Kings. So that card is basically what got me hooked.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think that card gets a lot of people hooked. And still to this day, it stands up as one of the most, maybe not most valuable, but one of the most iconic inserts ever produced. And for me, and obviously you too, but growing up, that 92 Stadium Club Beam Team set was like unbelievable. To see something like that come out of a pack was just like mind blowing.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So I know you mentioned Jordan. I know that you've done, you're into some other guys, but can you tell us a little bit about how your collection evolved from those early years into what you like collecting today?
So before, I would always follow certain players. The only person I prospected during that time was when Jamal Mashburn came to the league. Everybody was collecting Chris Webber, Penny Hardaway. So it's hard to compete with other people. At that time, I was still in college at that time, so it's not cheap. So I chose Mashburn to collect, and I almost had every single rookie card in parallel of Mashburn, and somebody stole my whole collection.
Oh, man.
So that's when I just routed back to collecting Jordan until about 96.
Okay.
Then I switched to Magic the Gathering after that.
Okay, cool. And like Magic, so the TCG sort of coming onto the scene, was that big just for like you and your friends, or was that sort of like a countrywide thing as far as, the Philippines go and stuff?
It did take over the scene over there in the collectible industry. Not more collectible, but more on the gaming side.
Okay.
Because at that time, there was a couple of years where they stopped printing Michael Jordan cards. So a lot of collectors left at that time.
Yeah.
And when he came back, Kobe came in. Kobe wasn't that much of a big name at that time. And when Finest came out, it was so expensive. The packs were so expensive.
Yeah.
So, and the Top Strom came out, and they're also so expensive, 4 cards in the pack. So that kind of priced out some collectors.
Sure.
And during those times, everybody wants to rip boxes and packs. So Magic, you didn't have, at that time, everything was not that expensive. So, and you can pass the time hours and hours throughout the day playing against somebody else. So that got a lot of sports collectors to go to the gaming side.
Nice. Very cool. Well, I know that your love of basketball sort of led you into the online scene that we talked about a little bit, and you became one of the admins for some very big Facebook groups. Could you maybe share which groups those were and sort of talk to us about how that experience helped you build a network?
So one of the biggest groups in Facebook now is NBA Hotspot.
Yep.
I was actually one of the original founders of NBA Hotspot with Jesse Coopers and Kevin Balesman.
Very cool.
And the group became so big that, a lot of keyboard warriors coming out, being an admin, you're not the most friendly person out there. So I told myself, you know what, I don't need this stress. So I left the group, created a smaller group on my own. And eventually I think Jesse sold that group to somebody else. So now it's one of the bigger groups right now on Facebook, and I think Raymond Lee owns it now from VeriSwap.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
And Raymond Lee wants to buy every single group. So he told me one time, Jay, how much for your group? Because I have a Jordan group.
Yeah.
And I told him, you don't need to buy it. If you want your logo there and everything,
Yeah.
just let me know.
Totally. Yeah, Raymond's a great guy, and he's obviously with VeriSwap, very into the community. But that's cool. I mean, that is like the largest single basketball collecting group on Facebook and probably on the internet. So that's really cool that you sort of got into that and started building a community that way. I know that then sort of transitioned from the Facebook groups in the online world into people in the real world, and you were able to then start some card shows for yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that transition?
Well, I started off as a vendor for frankincense.
Okay.
So that was about 2013. At that same time, I was still doing breaks at Facebook for sealed cases. The biggest break I probably did was 2013 National Treasures.
Oh, wow.
When Giannis was still not Giannis.
Yeah, right. He was a nobody at that point.
I remember pulling a Giannis autograph. I think it's from Titanium or something like that. And everybody is going, who's that? So I did a little breaking on Facebook. The thing is, I had to stop because everybody wanted me to ship everything, including the base cards, which took a lot of time, a lot of headaches. So I took a short sabbatical, like until 2014. Then when Ben Simmons came out, I started getting aggressive again. Then Luka's year, that's when I started collecting Luka.
Okay.
Rookie
18, yeah.
2018. So after that, I was a PSA. I'm still a PSA preferred submitter. So I'm a group submitter. So at that time, I was grading almost every single card I got before the boom.
Yeah.
And I was a vendor of a show in Garden Grove. Then they got shut down because of COVID. So me and my friend Kobe, we said, you know what? We have all these slabs. The market's getting crazy. We need a show.
Yeah.
So that's when we found a gym in Garden Grove also and started doing a small show. The first show, we actually even had to present a COVID plan for the Boys and Girls Club because they didn't want us to overpopulate the gym because of COVID.
Yeah.
People were wrapped. It's like, a line wrapping around the whole street. And we can only put in 50 people at the same time to go into the room, and nobody can go in until somebody comes out. And that's where I met Dynasty Mode EJ.
Yeah.
So he snuck in, and I had to kick him out of the show.
We'll talk to EJ about that separately.
Yeah, then it grew from there. It was crazy time. Before at the show, I'll sell a Luka Doncic silver PSA 10 for $1,100 before the big boom.
Mm-hmm.
And $1,100 was a lot of money already at that time.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it went to $8,000 each, right? So a typical show before I sell $500 to $1,500, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time that $24,000, $30,000 in a freaking gym show.
Wow.
Wow. So that was a crazy moment. Then eventually we told ourselves, summer hit. Our vendors were sweating like crazy in the gym because it's hot. The ventilation wasn't good. I told my partner, hey, we need to find a freaking hotel.
Yeah.
Because you see those guys, their sweat is dripping on the cars already. So we gravitated to hotels. We still did the gym because the gym, every time we do the gym, we donate a percentage of the revenue to the Boys and Girls Club.
That's awesome.
So we started doing the hotel. Oh my God, this is a big expense, so on and so forth. So until it grew bigger and bigger and bigger, then that's how Burbank found me.
Okay.
To do a show.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I mean that's crazy. You went from the gym to the hotel. Obviously the boom helped, but along the way too, you're building your network and you're meeting vendors and stuff like that. Can you talk to us just a little bit sort of about what that, it's a tight-knit group that you guys have down there in SoCal. Like talk to us a little bit about that community.
Well, the influencers help. Sasha T was a big name at that time.
Yeah.
He was one of our vendors. He was one of our attendees. Keen was traveling to SoCal from NorCal, to do shows and stuff like that. So there were a lot of vloggers, a lot of influencers at that time going to the show. Even Investacard flew to California and attended one of my shows.
Where
You
did
know,
Eddie go? Yes.
where did Eddie go? You know, so yeah, it was a crazy scene in California, and that proves the fact that there's a lot of collectors over here. People who spend money nowadays. You'll see 11-year-olds try to hustle down a dealer.
Yeah, I trust me, I know, and that's becoming like normal place, right? At any show, like these young,
Yeah.
it's crazy how they're cutthroat business people, and they're learning that through the hobby, which is maybe good and bad, but I think it's pretty cool to see, like you said, a young kid walk up to an adult and be like, "No, dude, I'm going to negotiate this down."
Mhm. Yeah, there was a kid on the first Burbank show in Burbank, California, came up to me. I want your LeBron auto, and it was like a $7,000 auto, right?
Yeah.
I have this LeBron auto in St. Mary's, and I have this Kobe auto, and I'll give you 2,300 cash, and that's my bottom line. 11-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go, let's take a step back. Is dad here? I don't want to engage in a transaction with you, and your parents come up to me and starts yelling at me.
Yep.
So dad was turned around. Oh, dad's here. He was holding a beer. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I go, Mr. Legend, sir. Sir, I need a witness as this happens because your son is trying to shake me down.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
the kid actually became a regular customer of mine.
There you go. Yeah.
But
That's
he got a $1,500 discount from me from that deal.
That's
He
great.
hustled me down.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. That's a great story. So the Premier show obviously grew quite a bit, and just not sports cards, but it grew into, you have a dedicated TCG show, non-sports show. Can you talk to us a little bit about sort of how that non-sports show came about, and then also like the differences between the sports shows and those TCG shows?
Yeah, so when we started doing the shows, obviously it was purely sports, then maybe 90-10, 80-20 percentage in sports, non-sports for a good amount of time, for a good amount of years. Then as of late, I've been seeing that it became a 50-50 mix at my show.
Yeah.
And my Brea hotel can only handle like 80 tables. So I look at the numbers, I look at the floor. Attendee numbers are still the same, but now I have less sports dealers. So if somebody's coming in for sports, that's tough because they're not going to see that many tables.
Yeah.
At that time, I didn't have a bigger hotel backup, so I told myself, you know what? Let me talk to these non-sports people and ask them if do you want to do an exclusive non-sports show. So we did it for the first time, and we sold out tables in less than 2 weeks.
Wow. That's
and now
awesome.
they're asking when's the next show. The thing is, with the Burbank show coming up, I told them I need to put the brakes for now until after that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna develop that part. I found a hotel that can fit in about 130 tables now, so I can do a mix, and I can do once in a while a Popsy show, which I call it, which is just sport, and try to go both industries that way.
That's awesome. What's the frequency you try to run those at?
The Premier show tries to do 2 shows a month.
Okay.
Now we are very flexible in terms of, do we need to do two mixed sports, big sport and TCG, and one solely TCG, or do we just do 1 and 1?
Yeah.
So it also depends on the availability of the hotel, and I'm not the only promoter here. There's other promoters here.
Sure.
So some are friends of mine. So the ones who are friends of mine, they kind of say, "Hey Jay, I have this date to do a show. Will you have a show at this date?" So you know what? I don't have anything booked. Just take that date, and we'll work around it.
Yeah.
But some other promoters will just aggressively try to go head on, and there's nothing much I can do about that. The only thing I can do is just to be the better show.
Yeah. Totally. That's interesting. Let's talk about that for 1 second though, because I'm curious. There is a lot of talk in the industry. Granted, it's around bigger shows, not the local shows, but you obviously have been able to be a part of both and do both successfully. So what's sort of your feeling and take on this competition where there's big shows, different parts of the country, like fighting for the same people, right? Because as we know, as you mentioned, influencers and vloggers and all these people will travel to these shows. So I guess I'd love to hear your take on sort of what that relationship might be like with some of these other larger shows and how you feel that should be handled.
So for my local shows, I don't charge admission.
Okay.
I'm totally against charging admission. I don't want to deter the kids and the families to come to the show. I owe it to dealers for them to make their table fees back.
Yeah.
I owe it to the dealers to have a good experience. So on the smaller shows, because the overhead is not that high, I can do that. And me and Kobe, with the smaller shows, it's not about the profit from the show. It's more because he's one of the top two preferred group submitters with PSA here in California, so
Mhm.
he makes his money on that side
Yeah.
by submission, by taking submissions. Me, I just want to have fun. I just don't want to arm wrestle somebody for a table. So I get to pick my own table.
Yeah.
Guarantee the table every show. I don't have to pay for my table.
Yeah.
That's what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So sometimes when competitor or another promoter tries to go head on, that's when I kind of strategize. You know what? I don't need to. I just need to break even the show, and I just need to be a better show. So that's when I invite Ryan from the Burbank Card Shop to come to my show. I give him a table. He makes the show liquid. He
Yeah.
buys what anybody would bring and stuff like that. I'll have Tag come in, do their photo cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll allocate space for them just to give a better experience. Like on the Pop C show, we had the four Lurkana artists
Oh,
at the
cool.
show. So they would sketch over the card and sign some of the cards and so on and so forth.
That's
And
awesome.
they had a line. So
Yeah.
you try to bring in certain people, to make a small show a little bit more worth going to,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reward will come on future shows because the dealers and the attendees can see that you're trying your best to make sure they all have a good experience.
Yeah. I know that and we'll get into this a little bit more. I mean, I know that you focus so much on the experience of the show, and that's what you're doing with Burbank and stuff. And I think it's phenomenal. It's cool that you're taking the time and effort to do that at these smaller shows too. And the fact that you don't, charge anything to people to get into the smaller shows, I think is awesome. And like you said, you might break even, but you're having fun and you're building that collector community, which is so important. I guess, just to sort of follow up, like I said, on this competition thing, what's your take on these bigger shows when they go head to head? Like, do you guys feel like, you should just sort of stay independent, or do you think that there's a need that, some of you guys bigger national level shows need to come together and pick and choose weekends, doing a better job of that? I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
So for the big shows, if you're a show promoter, you'll understand this more. You don't pick the dates. There's other industries out there that needs the convention centers.
Yeah, totally.
So, like, I had the option to sign a contract with Anaheim Convention Center for next year before national. The thing is, they gave me 4th of July weekend. I'm not going to go suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't get to pick the dates. I think I'm friends with EJ. He used to be a partner for the Burbank Card Show.
Yeah.
When he announced that Fanatics Fest is going to be the week before my show at Burbank, I didn't even ask him why.
Yeah.
Before. I already know. Javits Center, that's probably the only time they can get.
Yep.
Only schedule they can get, So it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think even though we're going against a giant, which is Fanatics, the week after, I think Burbank has a reputation already that we keep the floor liquid. Both the shop and the vendors that we have.
Yep.
We believe that we are innovating the game on the sports card and non-sports card category.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be, a mix of everything. Our focus is the cards.
Yeah.
So it's easier to focus on a specific because people know what to expect. If we're doing comics, coins, other collectibles, that's cool, but you have to have a niche. Splashes of this is okay. But until we can prove the fact that we can go against those giants, the growth has to be organic.
Yeah.
We have to adjust based on what the community wants. So right now, like I said, the TCG market is growing. I have to find ways to do that. So I integrated a kids cardathon, which is our kids event at the Burbank show this coming August for Anaheim, to give away packs for kids of Pokemon. So there's this couple, Rich and Dom. They were contestants at the Amazing Race, and they were supposed to set up at the Philly show the same weekend, the Burbank Card Show. I think there's a collecticon there. I offered them, you know what? I'll sponsor you your tables if you stay here in California and you host the kids events for me. And they agreed.
That's very cool.
And their actual response to me is that, you know what? Even though the Philadelphia thing is more of our niche, we can't say no to the kids.
I
You know,
love that.
so
I love that.
I like working with people who want to grow the community.
Yep. Big
And
time. And that's important.
the reason I approached it because when they set up on one of my local shows, they were engaged with the kids. You can see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. So let's talk about that, right? The experience and pushing the envelope. And you guys have done that with the Burbank show. You know, you mentioned EJ, you mentioned Rob a little bit earlier. Talk to us about how the Burbank show came about.
So I'm Rob's customer for so many years, even at the older shop.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Burbank Sports Cards, it's what their current warehouse is now. There was no cars on display. It was just wax on display and supplies. There's a computer on the desk. You search the things on the computer of the singles they want, and they pull it from the back.
Yep.
The first time I came to this shop, I told myself, I don't need to go here. I just have to go to their website and I can do this thing. You know?
Yeah.
So when the boom happened, people were starting talking about the shop having more singles now and so on and so forth. So I started going to their shop, and I like what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They bought stuff, they sold stuff. So until they expand to the newer shop right now, which is going to be the old shop soon,
right?
Expanding again. And one day I was being interviewed by Jay the Collector. He's also a vlogger for sports cars, and he interviewed me and my son at Rob's shop. And Rob was showcasing his new store at that time, and he was talking to a customer and saying, "Look at that window. It says card shop, trade night, card show." Then he looks straight at me, comes to me and goes, "Hey, my son Ryan sets up at your show, right? You do the local shows." "Yeah." "Well, I kind of want to do a card show, but I don't want to do the work. Do you think you can help me?"
Yeah.
So I told him, "What are your requirements?" And he goes, "Well, I want it in the city of Burbank. I want to call it the Burbank Card Show. I want about 150 tables." I told him, "You know what? I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks, see what I can do." I called every single freaking hotel in Burbank.
Yeah.
Nothing can accommodate 150 tables. Nothing. Zero. I called wedding event sites and stuff like that. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing on my list left was the Burbank Marriott Convention Center. And just the word convention center, I know it's not gonna be cheap.
Yeah.
So I pick up the phone. I remember this. I pick up the phone. I call Rob. "Hey, Rob, this is Jay. I think I found a venue for us, but it's not going to be 150 tables. It's probably closer to 300. And he goes, "Where is that?" "The convention center." His first question is, "How much is that going to cost me?"
Totally. Yeah.
So I told him, "Hold your horses real quick. If you want to do this, I need to bring in somebody else to help me." So that's when I brought EJ. I picked up the phone, told EJ, "Hey, I have an opportunity to work with Burbank Sports Cards and do a show." And EJ was at that time was doing Newport Showcase. So I asked him, "Hey, you want to do this?" Because EJ, he only had like one or two shows under his belt, but he was able to attract dealers from other states.
Okay.
And in my mind, for the Burbank Card Show at Marriott to work out, I need 60% of the dealers not from California. I don't want a dealer to dealer show and everybody's local. Nobody's going to walk the show.
Interesting. Yeah. Makes sense.
So at that time, my vision was just, Arizona, Portland, Seattle,
Sure.
maybe people from Dallas. Nothing really, So he goes, "Okay, I'm in." So I told him, "EJ, I'll give you full creativity as a event director. I'll be your logistics guy." So Rob has 50%. I have 50%. I'll give you half of my 50%, if you do this with me.
Sure.
So he goes, "Okay, let's talk to Rob." He prepared a deck. He prepared the deck the night before our meeting with EJ.
Yeah.
And we presented to Rob. He did a little bit BSing. There's a sales talk. He's good at talking to people. So
Sure.
he goes, "Oh, the goal is to get Nike and you know what? This is the first show.
Yeah.
Keep it simple." So then we signed the contract. Rob was very nervous. Rob was getting nightmares that nobody's going to show up.
Yeah.
Then the show happened, and it's probably one of the best shows I've ever seen produced because we got fire marshaled. We had to hold the line for 3 hours. And after the show, everybody was saying, "When's the next show?"
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing is, you know how when people travel for shows, dealers travel for shows, they usually skip half of Sunday or all of Sunday.
Totally.
I had to kick everybody out at 4 o'clock Sunday. Nobody wanted to leave.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
That's really good. Well, that's a sign of a good show, Jay.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's great. What I guess, obviously, you had done shows in the past, like you said. EJ had some experience at that point with stuff, and obviously he's gone on to some amazing things. And Rob, we all know who Rob is and his place sort of in the hobby as the Burbank name. What do you think made that show such a massive success? Like, what were some of the reasons that you think it worked so well?
My theory is, number one, I think we were best known for providing liquidity in the hobby.
Okay.
The first show, Ryan, Rob's son,
yeah,
I think spent somewhere around $150,000 to $200,000 on the floor.
Wow.
And at that time, that was not common.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yep. And he only bought Friday, Saturday. He didn't even buy Sunday. So that's number one. Number two, I'll take a little credit in this. My vision of a show is not to segregate people. So if you go to other bigger shows, they have setups wherein they have a square. That's their booth.
Yep.
The next booth is like 10 feet away and so on and so forth. So you don't see what's going on other parts of the show. You just see people. You don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
How I set up the show is that every table was side by side. So if you're the attendee and you look at this dealer showcase and there's something you like there, and you see cash moving on your left and moving on your right, I now have the fear that if I walk away from this card right now, it's probably going to be gone when I go back.
Yeah.
So the vibe, how clean the aesthetic is on the show floor, I think are the elements that makes the Burbank show a little different.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I've had the opportunity to come to some of them, and they're phenomenal events. And to your point, like, there is a lot of deals being done, and there's a lot of amazing cards there too. I think part of that obviously is the whole California card scene and community, which isn't all of the show, but there's definitely some of that. But to your point, you got people being willing to buy a lot, and you've got people excited to be there. That's a great combo. So I guess you guys obviously went from that first show, which I felt I did have a little bit of FOMO. I was in Denver because that first one I think was the same weekend as one of the big Denver card shows. But I saw all the
lights went off.
What's that?
Where the lights went off.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right. Exactly. That was it. It was totally good memory, Jay. Yeah, but like the social media content that was coming out, from your guys' show was ridiculous. I know you had, like you said, you got fire marshaled, line around the block. There was like a massive buzz, but you guys obviously took that momentum and were able to turn it from that into this bigger show, and even bigger show, meaning from Ontario. You went to Ontario and then you went to what is now Anaheim. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that process was and what that experience was like?
So I live near Ontario Convention Center, so I'm familiar with the area.
Okay.
So after the first Burbank show, EJ, me, and Rob, we sat down and looked at our options. At that time, we were told that it will take about 2 to 5 years to get into Anaheim because there's a long list.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the Pasadena Convention Center, which I was told that there was a union, so I wanted to avoid that. And there was talks about LA Convention Center, which at that time I don't think we were ready for that. So I told Rob, you know what? I'll talk to Ontario Convention Center, see if they have a date for us. Then I'll let you guys know. So I go there, and there was a car show, a vintage car show booked on the weekend that we wanted.
Okay.
But they only booked the Saturday. So I had a meeting, and I kind of bullied ourselves in and told them, well, it's just one day. We're willing to pay for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
go, let us talk to the organizer of that show. Maybe we can have him switch his dates and so on and so forth. I don't know what Ontario did, but lo and behold, we got the date.
Yeah, totally.
So we got the date, and the funny thing is, when we were talking about price, the price of Ontario Convention Center is about the same as the Burbank Marriott, but 3 times the size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they said that, when they quoted us the price, which is still a lot of money,
Totally.
I was poker face, and EJ couldn't stand his chair, and he just wanted to say, "Ew!" You know, he was kicking my son's foot
Yeah.
after he heard the prize, and I go, "Can you do a little bit better?" You know, it's like negativity with a card, right?
Totally.
So we ended up doing that. Then I told Rob and EJ while we're doing Ontario, well, if Anaheim is that far away, because Rob's dream is to get to Anaheim, because that's where the last national in California happened.
Yeah.
So if it takes that many years for Anaheim, let me start talking to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Anaheim, and they had a date for me. They had a date for me. The thing is, when they gave the price, I go, "Holy shit!"
A little bit of a step up there. Yeah.
$150,000 just for the venue.
Wow.
But just the venue, nothing else included.
That's crazy.
And I go, "Rob, are we gonna go all in or what?" Right?
Yeah.
And actually, that Anaheim show cost us almost $500,000 to produce.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, those are huge numbers. I don't think people understand that it costs that much to put on a show. So that's really interesting, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. Those are big numbers, man. And obviously you're able to fill it and do it and kill it.
Well, Anaheim, going to Anaheim, our goal was just to make a statement that we can do it.
Totally.
Rob, EJ, and I, from day one, from the first show, the conditions of the agreement was number one: don't embarrass the brand.
Yeah.
Don't lose money.
Yeah.
If we make $1, we make $1. So that was the goal. So coming into Anaheim, we reset our mindset to that. You know, we know it's a big cost. We don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to prove to ourselves and to the community that, you know what, California is a great market.
Yep.
So we took that risk. Fortunately for us, we did profit a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll take it and run.
Yeah.
Especially after everybody, I've never heard anybody really say that the show was run poorly. There are hiccups, there are some setbacks. Like parking was a mess also in Anaheim because there was a big sneaker convention and anime convention at the same time as the Anaheim show last time. And the Hilton had a union dispute. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, people were banging drums, waking everybody up. But that's not something we can control.
Yeah, totally.
You know? So, but those are problems that are unique, and you know, at the end of the day, the complaints were just temporary, you know, but everybody got through it. So I'm happy with that.
100%. Huge props to you. So full disclosure, I've not been to the Anaheim show yet. I'm really excited. I'll be going here at the end of the month, which is awesome. But I was able to get to the Ontario show, and again, the airport in ease of me for traveling in and out was amazing. It's super close to the venue. The hotels are all right there, but you created an amazing experience for everybody, and I've heard nothing but good things from the Anaheim show as well. So, props to you and Jay and EJ in the past, or I'm sorry, Rob and you and EJ. And, you guys have been doing an amazing job and doing amazing things. And I think a big part of that is because, you guys, as you mentioned, like keep trying to sort of elevate this, right? Not only in the size, but in the experience of the show. So can you sort of tell us a little bit about what your mindset is as far as what that means and what is part of that sort of card show experience from the Burbank show?
We don't know what the market will be a year from now and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And as everybody knows, like nationals, we have to sign contracts years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we see growth even from Cleveland, right?
Yep.
And everybody's now saying that Cleveland is too small for the national. And that's why we're taking a risk for 2025 and going to the Anaheim Hall D. And Hall D is actually where the first national was.
Wow. That's really cool.
That's 221,000 square foot of space. It's still smaller than Cleveland. It's still smaller than Chicago. But to give you an example, I spoke to my general contractor for the show, and I told him the news that I just signed a contract for Hall D for 25. And the first reaction was, "You got Hall D? Where the Disney show is? The Disney show is where the national was?"
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Heck yeah, man. Congrats.
So, and I go, it's just a space. And I hate it because it's cemented floor, it's not carpet. So going back to your question, how do the outlook that I see, as long as the community supports the local shows, we can continue doing this again and again, even with other promotions out there like Fanatics Fest
Mm-hmm.
and National. There's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
The only thing is, it's the survival of the fittest on who can run the better shows, because you really have to invest on the overall experience, like you were saying about.
Right.
And it's not just selling the tables and selling the tickets and you guys deal amongst yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a trade night.
Right.
There has to be an experience. You have to have the right partners. We're fortunate that we have a lot of the big sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
We have the PSAs, the Beckett's, the Tags, the Fanatics Collects now, which was PWCC, the Goldens. We have Canvas Marketing Well coming in. We have a new company coming in for this Anaheim, which is On It. They do the collegiate cards. The Curator's new company, which is Saturday Morning Cards, is going to be at the show. Check out my cards: Ultra Pro, Arena Club, SGC, Crossings. Hopefully, I didn't miss anybody and lose the sponsorship. Prestige Auctions.
Yeah. Well, I know you're covering your bases, but the point is that you guys attract sort of the cream of the crop when we're talking about sponsorships and people coming. That's a testament to the type of show you're putting on.
And that's actually beneficial to us when other companies see this company's sponsor. They get curious and they start contacting me. Hey, what kind of sponsorship can we do? And the thing is, I will not just take anybody on board as a sponsor. It needs to make sense.
Sure.
I can't disclose which company it is, but some of the smaller shows, they're able to get some of these companies to come in because they give the space for free.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't understand, there's nothing free in California. And some of these companies, what, will come in for you, if you give us a space or a table or something like that. And in my mind, if you want me to invest in you, you need to invest in yourself too, right? If you believe in your company, whatever we're charging you for the space, you should be able to make something out of it, because I'm going to help you market too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure you're positioned properly. I'm going to make sure that if you want activations and sent out to emails, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But you come up to me expecting everything to be given to you hand and foot. Fortunately for us, the demand is higher than the supply. For this coming Anaheim, we have almost about 50 tables on the wait list.
Wow.
So we need a bigger boat, as Rob would say.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that, back to the experience part, right? Like, you have these bigger brands, but you guys are really sort of pushing the envelope. Like, I think it was the first Anaheim show. No. It was actually the Ontario show. The first Ontario show was the first time Tag showed up, but I think it was the first Anaheim show that they started doing like those custom cards. Is that right? Or am I misspeaking?
So Tag was at the very first show.
Right.
They're actually the biggest sponsor for the first show.
Yeah.
And they only had like an Apple store set up with all their...
Yeah, like the grading behind the scenes. Yes. Yeah.
When Ontario came about, Tag had their first grading on site. That's the first time they really accepted grading, whether online or on site. First time ever they came out with those things. And they basically made it right on time to be able to create on site, because they were waiting for updates on their technology to be able to do it. When we were going to Ontario, Michael couldn't promise me that it's going to happen, but he told me he's going to push the envelope. And he did push the envelope, and that happened.
Yeah.
Then come the next show, which is Anaheim, they brought a basketball court to the show.
All right.
Then coming back to Ontario, that's where the custom cards happen.
Okay. The second Ontario show. Okay. Yeah.
The weird thing about the second show, the second Ontario show with the custom cards, I told Michael, hey, I saw this thing that you can take a photo of a person, put it in a slab, and become a collectible. But the thing is, I wanted to enhance that. I wanted that to be the badges of the VIP. Then he came up with the technology with the crack eyes and stuff like that and played with the thing, and it became a hit. Even this national, I saw people posting those Tag custom cards,
Oh, it was massive, for sure. Yeah.
And when we got into Ontario last February with those custom cards, so I was only asking him to make 500 custom cards for my VIP.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have time, they can offer it to the customers. He didn't even know how much to charge for it, and so on and so forth. So they have their grading booth and their custom card booth on the second room. He had to abandon the grading room, the grading section, and put all his staff to the custom cards because it was so crazy. They even had to stop service for a few hours. Vendors were texting me, "Jay, can you get this tagline out of my table? They're blocking my table." And yeah, it was crazy. I can't disclose some of the things, but they were getting messages from competitors saying, "You crushed it."
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know,
Yeah, but
and
and to have that associated with the Burbank Card Show, it's some breaking edge technology, breaking edge experience. Like that's amazing, and that's a testament to the types of things you guys are doing.
yeah, and to be honest with you, it was still a little tacky because I couldn't. It was so the plan was so raw that we just got those transparent sleeves from Uline
Mm-hmm.
to serve as a holder.
Yeah.
So so it looks so tacky. It's something you get out of the Philippines.
Come on, Jay, give yourself and your people more credit, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, so I guess along those lines, I know that you've got some special stuff lined up for this one that's going to push the envelope even more. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So not so long ago, I met William Wade, Mr. William Wade, my buddy,
Mm-hmm.
who happens to be Steph Curry's cousin. And I got introduced by him by LeBron James. And he told me that he was doing custom art for Steph. Originally, big art paintings and stuff like that. Was contracting artists to make paintings and stuff like that. Then he told me, "Jay, I want to start this thing called I call it mini artworks or something like that.
Mini art prints, I think, is the term.
Mini art prints, yeah. So, but technically, it's a trading card.
Yeah.
So at that time, he already had samples of his first release and stuff like that, and he actually gave me a free copy of an autograph version.
Wow, cool.
So I told him, "You know what, Will? I can help you launch your company through the show. Do you think we can do something with Steph that he can sign a few of the cards that we can outsource from an artist?"
Mm-hmm.
So we had a meeting. I brought in Tag to the meeting. He was in the meeting. We had an artist in the meeting too, who was supposed to design the cards. So I explained to them what I wanted to do. So I told them, "Hey, you know what? I want this to be the VIP badge. I don't want Tag to be backlogged trying to print cards for custom cards for the VIP. So if you can make this before the show, everything's set and ready to go." So we agreed on the price. I told Tag I'm going to pay for the production of slabbing it and stuff like that. They helped me source out the lanyards and the frames and stuff like that. So we go into this project. So long story short, the artist that was supposed to do it fell off. So my son had to make the 4 designs.
Cool.
So these are the 4 designs of the card. This is an uncut sheet version.
Look at that. That is beautiful.
So you have Babyface Assassin. You have Steamboat Curry.
Nice.
You have Chef Curry. And you have the Warrior.
Those are great, man. And Ken did all the artwork on these.
Yes.
Very cool.
The Assassin was not supposed to come out.
Okay.
It was a last-minute backup plan that we had. So each of those versions will have 3 kinds of designs in terms of the foil and refractive portion of it.
Okay.
One is like a photon atomic design. We can't use the term atomic refractor because that's trademarked.
Sure.
And then the other one was a swirl design, and the other one is a crack ice.
Cool.
So those are the releases for the thing, and each of those. So for each card, there's 3 designs, and there's 4 sets. So there's going to be a total of 1,000 cards produced, and a good percentage of them are auto versions of the card. The ones that are autoed will have Steph Curry's fingerprint at the back of the card. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see a video where he's fingerprinting all the cards that are autoed and signing the cards that are autoed. Then Tag is going to slab them. It's actually slab ready. And some of them are numbered 1 of 1. Some of them are out of 2.
Wow.
Some of them are not numbered for the auto versions.
Yeah.
and there's 4 of them that are inscribed. So one Steph on the Steamboat Curry card, Steph even drew a Mickey Mouse.
That's awesome.
Then I think one is Top Chef.
Okay.
Or Chef Curry or something like that.
Yeah.
So 4 of them are inscribed. So those are the ones that probably bring a lot of money.
Sure.
On the secondary market. The odds of pulling a fingerprint auto version is 1 out of every 50.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do to alleviate any people from trying to say it's rigged or anything like that, I'm going to put like 100 cards in one box, and there will be 2 autos on that 100 cards.
Okay.
2 autos and 2 one-of-one versions that are non-auto.
Okay.
Then every time somebody grabs their VIP thing, they're going to grab it from the box. They have to open it in front of us. And if they pull an out of 50 version, because there's a one-of-one non-auto, there's an out of 30 non-auto and out of 50 non-auto. So all the non-auto autos that are slabbed are all numbered.
Okay, cool.
The thing is, the numbering is going to be the artist numbering it, hand numbering it at the back, and signing at the back. So there are hand numbered and artist signed at the back. Then it's going to be slab in the tag slab, and all the non-autos are just verified tag, verified authentic. The auto versions are all graded with a card grade.
Very cool.
I think there's 2 of them hit at PS tag 10.
Wow. That's
Only
tough
2.
to do too.
Only 2 are tag 10.
Okay.
I think the lowest grade was 2 of them, I think, are 8.5s, if I'm not mistaken. And the rest are 9s. So every time they pull a card, let's say they pull the auto, then we have to put another auto back in the box. If they pull a one-of-one, we'll put another one-of-one back in the box, and so on and so forth. So the odds of pulling the auto is always 1 out of 50. That way, it eliminates any hanky-panky, any accusations of, it's rigged. All the autos are not in that box and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and once we start giving away those things, we'll have a video of every single card that's pulled, just in case somebody tries to question us.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. I mean, you guys are, again, taking it up a notch, right? So, you said that you have the kids experience, right? That's going to be at the show. You now have added in this element of card art that's obviously becoming more and more popular. Oh, you've got a signed one right in front of you. Look at that.
So this is a signed one.
Wow.
That's his fingerprint.
Very
and
cool.
1-of-1.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So now we're not tacky no more.
Look at you. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. It's like the the chain, like your slab chain, man. I love it.
There you go.
Very cool.
Right?
Very cool.
So this is something I bring around to local shows. I wear it on my neck with my Burbank uniform and just promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Breaking news. So each one of us has a personal copy. So Burbank Card Shop has a personal copy. Ken has a personal copy. Will has a personal copy. I have a personal copy, and ZeBron James has a personal copy.
Awesome.
And a personal copy, all auto. So Bob decided that his personal copy, we're gonna raffle it to the VIPs.
Oh, no way! So there'll be an extra chance to get an auto.
Yes. So what I plan to do is, with the exception of the ones who pulled the auto, anybody who doesn't pull the auto, we're gonna have like a claim stub to drop an official with their name and their phone number.
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, we're gonna draw the winner.
That's awesome. What a cool concept. And I mean, what a beautiful piece, right? Like that's something to be proud of. It's not just the past, it's becoming artwork. And I mean, I know that like Raphael had worked with the card carver at his last Culture Collision to create some cool, artwork for their badge. But now you guys are taking up a whole nother level and creating full-on custom cards. Some are autographed and they're slabbed. Like, I mean, really, really cool stuff. I love that you're sort of feeling and listening to the trends of the collecting community and integrating that into the show. That's really cool, Jay.
Well, I'm actually looking forward already to the future shows.
Okay.
I've been getting a lot of feedback from the vendors. How come we don't get one?
There you go.
I'm trying to find an economical way to do something for the vendors for future shows that is inclusive with their table fee.
Yeah.
I love it. How I can pull it off, I don't know yet. But I have it in mind. Any feedback that's given to me, I'll always make sure if I can do something about it. I will try to enhance or change the game.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out. I don't know yet. I'm talking to a few agents of other players that would want to do something similar like this. Dennis Rodman is one of the people that was given to me name wise.
That'd be awesome. As a Jordan, Pippen, Rodman guy, I would think that's pretty amazing.
I don't think I can get Michael Jordan, but
yeah, no, or get Rodman. I mean, that's a huge name, or even just to create some cool, custom limited edition artwork for the vendors would be awesome.
Well, I like Rodman because you can do something like the worm.
Yeah.
But in terms of rarity and autos, Pippen will be a better choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's just a matter of how these agents will work out how much it will cost.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to price out people in terms of the promotion. So we'll figure it out.
No, and I think that, you have some packages. Let's talk a little bit about those packages because you mentioned price point and stuff. So can you tell us a little bit specifically about the Burbank show? I know there's VIP passes. There's also, day passes, general admission. Can you tell the audience a little bit about those specifics?
So let's start with the VIP.
Okay.
So once you buy a VIP ticket, it's $299 after everything.
Mm-hmm.
And last Anaheim VIP, we charged $150, and the only perks you had was getting to the show Thursday night, which is a VIP exclusive night, and get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday with 1 hour early bird.
Mm-hmm.
So those things still is in place for the VIP ticket.
Okay.
But they get one of these.
Okay.
This is the tag slab with a Curry card sealed like a pack.
Okay.
You don't know if it's the auto or anything like that. That's why we have to have you open it.
Okay.
Us to see if the auto is the auto out of 50, out of 30, out of 1.
Yep.
Then you get one of these. So it's basically a mystery pack, which is a big trend right now.
Yep.
But this mystery pack has the full checklist.
Okay.
So there's 81 cards per variation, a 1 of 1, an out of 30, and an out of 50. The autos, there's only going to be X number of autos, which has a pull rate of 1. No more than 1:50. Okay. I say 1:50 just to make sure we don't over promise.
Yeah.
But the odds are actually lower than 1:50.
Okay.
It's less than 1:50. The actual odds in the auto. I just do 1:50 just to have a round number.
Sure.
And just to make sure, because in case the autos get pulled early, I have backups that I can put in.
There you go. I love it.
So that way, even if you're the last person to purchase a VIP badge, I will pretty much can say the odds of an auto to still be there is going to be very high.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. That's very cool. And so that's the VIP. So there's the VIP night. And I think you'd mentioned there's some other perks with VIP stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. So VIP night you have an option of getting Saturday morning cards, exclusive Burbank Card Show, Steamboat Willie. There's only 100%. There's 4 sets. One set was for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
And if you're a VIP, you can get the whole set for $150.
Okay, cool. What do those normally sell for?
It's $50 each, so it's normally $200.
Okay, cool.
So you get a $50 discount on that if you choose to get those. Then it's numbered 1 to 100 for each card, and there's going to be 4 1 of 1s. So 1 of 1s, again, if you purchase the set, you'll be in the drawing. You'll be in the drawing to get the 1 of 1 version of that card too.
Very cool.
So I made sure that Saturday morning cards made me 4 1 of 1s, 1 for each design that I can raffle out after.
Awesome.
So to give more value, then I just finalized a deal with a company called Sneaker Dump. They're like an eBay sneaker type eBay app from Japan.
Okay.
They just finalized a deal with me that the first 150 people at VIP night who would go to their table and download their app on their phone, they will buy them a drink.
Nice. That's a great perk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still talking to some last minute sponsors trying to enhance more VIP night.
Okay.
So hopefully I can get 1 or 2 more out there, but we'll see.
Okay. That's still awesome, man. So you get You get the limited edition card. You have the option to get the limited edition Saturday morning cards. You get early admission, and you get the possibility for free drinks. Like that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about the non-VIP. What's sort of the standard admission?
So Friday, Saturday is $25 for general admission, but if you pay $5 more, you can get in 1 hour early.
Okay.
For Sunday, I believe it's $20. There's no early bird for Sunday.
Okay.
Because the VIP package is the only one who gets early bird for Sunday.
Okay, got it. And then I know there's also trade night. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I just got a phone call from Raymond Lee at Verswap. We have another call tomorrow to finalize, but they were only supposed to sponsor trade night for Saturday.
Okay.
And I told them, you know what? Burbank Sports Cards is supposed to do Friday night. Do you want to take on both? And he said yes.
Awesome.
It's going to be hosted by Mary Gamble.
Okay.
We'll have DJ spins at trade night too for 4 hours per night.
Very cool.
The trade night is going to be an 8-hour event from 7 p.m. until 3 a.m. at the Marriott Host Hotel.
The hobby never sleeps, Jay.
The space is not that big. It's about 7,000 square feet, which is a decent size that should fit about 800 people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't get a national crowd. I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because there's a wedding next door on the other ballroom. So, but that's the only space we can get. Because remember, what people don't understand, promoters don't make anything from trade nights.
Yeah.
It's actually at expense because we have to have security there, we have to have staffing there, we have to have a DJ there, we have to have a host there, and even the bartenders there. Even if a cash bar from the hotel, they actually charge you for the bartender.
Okay.
You charge $175 per bartender.
Yeah.
So that's all added cost plus the cost of the room. The room is not free.
Sure.
So the thing is, we do know that it's part of shows nowadays, of the big shows nowadays. So because we had to use only one floor, because the first Anaheim show's first floor and second floor.
Yep.
And people didn't like that.
Yeah.
So we decided to use the second floor, all of the second floor for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Last show, I didn't use about 10,000 square feet of that room because I had trade night there.
Right. Okay.
And it was only until midnight. So now, you know what? Let's use the whole space at the second floor for all the corporate and all the vendors, and just bring the trade night to the hotel.
Awesome.
So we adjust. We have to adjust every single time.
Well, and I think that's part of what makes your product and show so special, right? Is that you're listening to feedback from the people. Whether it was from when you're doing your smaller Premier shows and you started doing TCG, you're getting feedback from vendors and other people. From the last Anaheim show, you're adjusting that, so that the corporate people are part of the show and don't feel as separated. So I think that's really a huge testament to you and the rest of the team that you guys are willing to take that feedback. And I think that's part of why it's successful, right? Is that you guys are giving the people what they want and continually innovating. And I think that's really incredible. And again, props to you guys.
We're giving one more thing based on the feedback that was given to us.
Okay.
But you'll get the first exclusive.
All right. What's this?
We are rebranding for next year.
Whoa.
Everybody's saying you're Burbank, but you're in Anaheim and Ontario. So we are rebranding for next year.
Wow.
That name is going to come out at the Anaheim show.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, now little teaser, Jay. I like it. We've got people paying attention. I'm sure that'll be a big deal when that drops. That's awesome. Well, I mean, Jay, you've had so much success over the past 15 plus years. So I guess I'm going to ask you to reflect a little bit and tell me, what do you feel is like some of the most rewarding aspects of running these shows?
At my age nowadays, it's not about how much I can make. It's more of my legacy, how I'm remembered in this hobby. I'm not like Rob or EJ, who everybody knows and you can identify the face.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you talk about, I had a good experience at the show, I know I had a big hand in it.
Yeah.
So it's all about legacy for me from this point onwards. Hopefully, my son who does the artwork, he helps me run the show too.
Yeah,
He'll pick up on this and maybe continue on.
sure.
But time will tell.
Yeah,
But right now we're at the point that we rode the wave. The wave is still climbing up.
yeah,
I'll ride this as long as I can.
yeah. I think that's awesome, and that's really special. I guess speaking of riding that wave, where do you sort of see yourself going? What are your current goals, and where do you want to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years? What is sort of that plan?
So Haldi came as a blessing. We didn't anticipate that we were able to get that this soon.
Yeah.
If I have a division, I want the whole convention center,
Wow.
all A to D.
Wow.
Forget about the arena, because there's an arena and there's a ACC North.
Yeah.
I just want A to D, the whole thing.
Okay.
If I can fill that space out with a lot of corporate support, and the key is the corporate support,
Yeah.
I can give a very good experience. As long as these corporate companies will, trust me and give me the financing to be able to do more activations, do more experiences,
Mm-hmm.
then I will take that risk of going A to D.
I love that.
There's so much stuff we can do. There's so
Yeah.
much we can do.
Well, and I think, the timing might be right. You've shown that you can grow this, right? You guys continue to make it bigger and better. And you've got some large players, like you said, especially Fanatics, coming into the space. Like, they've obviously got a lot of ideas. I think that pushes competition from all these other corporate sponsors, and everybody wants to continue to elevate, and if the plan, to continue to grow this hobby continues on that path, then I think it's possible. And I love that you're dreaming big, Jay. I think it's really, really cool to see. And, Anaheim's right across the street from Disney World. So why not make like the Disney World of cards in the convention center, right?
So you've been to Ontario, right?
Yes.
Okay. So remember where Tag is and Beckett was?
Yeah.
Above it, there's a glass
Mm-hmm.
room.
Yep.
One day, if ever possible, will help you make it happen. I want this guy to be in that room waving to everybody.
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see how many years he's playing, right? Maybe this becomes
I'll get on the mic. May I have your attention, please? I would like to welcome, if you look towards that direction, a special guest.
Yeah, I love it. That would be cool. Well, Steph's into the cards, man. I saw the videos you guys released, and he seems to be into it and think it's pretty cool. So who knows? More and more athletes are getting involved in this space and showing genuine interest, which I think creates buzz and excitement for collectors. But who knows? Maybe they will become more active in the show scene.
Well, we'll see what happens.
There you go. I love it.
I keep an open mind. I always tell Rob and my team, things fall into our laps. When that happens, we really need to see how we can make it a win-win-win situation for everybody, and basically not take advantage, but basically make the best out of it.
Yep.
Like this promotion with Steph Curry, this fell in my laps. I didn't look for it. It just happened.
Yep.
The tag custom cards, that just happened.
Yep. Yep.
So
Well,
as I study other shows, I get ideas. So maybe I need to go to more shows.
Well, I'd love to see more shows. I need to get to more shows too, probably, Jay. So maybe you and I can tag team some shows, and we can hang out. I always enjoy talking to you, and I know that you've taken time out of your day for us, and I really appreciate it. But before I let you go, I always ask all my guests to sort of leave our audience with sort of one valuable tip. What would be your golden piece of advice? So I would ask you, what would you tell aspiring collectors, entrepreneurs, or show promoters that is that sort of piece of advice that you would want to share with them?
So I'll probably say three things.
Okay.
For the collector or the attendee, don't focus too much on comps. If nobody's going to pay higher than the last comp, then the market is just going to keep on going down.
Yeah.
For the market to keep on going up, you need to pay what the card is worth for. So that's number one. Number two, for other promoters, if you do decide to do a show, make sure you do it right. Make sure that everybody leaves happy. Make sure that everybody leaves feeling good. Because the thing is, we only provide the venue. We only provide the aesthetic. the whole experience is up to people who are in the show, how they transact, and how they basically mingle with each other. You see it from other blogs. Oh, there's this old guy vendor in National, and he priced his cars 10 times comp, and he's so grumpy and stuff like that. Just move on. Don't focus on the negative part. Just
Sure.
You can't make a deal with this guy. Go somewhere else. Find someone else you can deal with.
Yeah.
So the thing is, with cards, money is always attached. So if they focus too much on the money part, it's easy to become greedy. So that's for the ones who are trying to do shows. Make sure you do it right.
Yeah.
And the last, for the community, always look back where you came from. Make sure your feet is on the ground. Don't have a big ego. If you're a content creator, if you're an influencer, you became there. You got there because people love what you do, and make sure you give back.
I love that. I think that's important, and I think that that's how this hobby has evolved and will continue to evolve. Right? Is by making sure that you're obviously satisfied because we all have a passion to be here, but that we're passing that passion and passing those great experiences down to that younger generation. So I think that's awesome, and I think that's a great tip to leave the audience with, Jay. So I've been, popping up this banner on and off, but for those who are just listening, you again can find Jay and the team at Burbank Card Show on IG, and you can get tickets at burbankcardshow.com, and tickets are available now.
Yes.
So definitely go grab them, get them ahead of time. I know, especially the VIP stuff, those are going quick with all these perks and stuff. So people should jump on there and get those. But Jay, again, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation and really inspiring. And I appreciate you taking time to come on the show. You have some awesome knowledge and advice that you've been able to help us with. And I'm really excited to be out in Anaheim with you in a couple of weeks and see all the features that you're adding. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a great evening.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
We'll see you. Everyone out there watching, thank you for your time. I hope that you learned something new, found some inspiration. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to like, follow, rate us, subscribe, and of course, please share with your friends. And remember, keep collecting, keep hustling, and we'll see you next week on Hobby Hustle, where collecting passion and business collide. Thanks so much for watching.
Hobby Hustle is brought to you by Collector Creative. If you're a collectible brand or company looking for help with marketing, branding, design, or development, head over to collectorcreative.com and drop Zach a line. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at collector_creative. And be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time on Hobby Hustle, where collecting passion and business collide.